Good morning, everybody. Hope everybody had a great extra day off. All right, so some resolve to this debt ceiling thing, and markets are gapping higher here. Let's see where they're likely to go. So S&Ps and NASDAQ 100 have had the bullish price action patterns. Many other things did not, but the major indices look like they should go higher to the next pivot high over there to the left, and they're gapping up. Not that these aren't gapping up that much. You can see just above the highs there. So it's not a great kind of gap, meaning just looking here, because it came to the bottom of the range, top of the range, and now it's gapping over the pivot high. So on a short-term basis, it could still be okay because everything came on Friday, but the weekly chart is good. Right. So as long as it doesn't dip all the way back down, and I guess unless whatever deal they got going here is too many of them oppose it, probably isn't going to come back in again. So we do our factory work, right? So we look for prices to stay in the upper half of the wide range bar. And say what that is here. There's no support to the left. Look on the hourly chart. This little congestion there is this little base on the 15-minute. So if it came back in, it wouldn't be a terrible thing. You see if it starts to rebuild. As I said, the weekly chart looks good. So coming back in here, as long as it starts to build some new support and goes back up, it would be fine. The ideal scenario is it doesn't come back in, and let's see if it continues to go. Now, this gap in part is tech stocks. I looked at something like a Marvel. Take a look at quick. And that looks like, when that's gapping to 67 and stuff. I mean, a gap like that and then another gap, I just can't imagine that's going to go much further. And then, as you know, or not know, NVIDIA is gapping up. I mean, how much higher can they go before they stall? So I think what we need to keep an eye on and see is if financials do something and they're not, meaning what's going to propel indices higher if tech is going to stall, if the leaders in tech are going to stall. Now we got to see if this tech does it actually begin to stall. I mean, just based on today, I think some of those ones that had the biggest moves will. So here's XLK gapping up to 167. Right? Is it at resistance? 167 and change. It's not quite there yet. So maybe they got a little bit more room to go. But what we want to look for, well, the ones that are stronger, they stay strong, but ones that'll play catch up. Right? Others that maybe aren't as extended that can continue to move up. Since this is the leading sectors and, SMHs, was what it's semiconductors and software. So does this give us 151? This move's got to run out of steam, I think, early part of the week. Or even if today, but we'll see. Our internals aren't giving us any help. As we've been talking about, breadth is just as terrible as it could possibly be. But so we don't have a large participation in stocks, and sentiment hasn't reached an extreme yet. So from that perspective, could see that prices could go higher. SMH. Where is it? Okay. Let me go back to spiders, then we can get to SPX. So just gapping up a little bit above those highs. They got room to go up. Interestingly, the large open interest, which is in the middle of next month, is at 4150, which is below. So two ideas. Let's go to, where is this? Just slightly gapping up above there. I think that's going to be a critical number for prices to stay above this 4150, which is Friday's low. Interesting how these large open interests line up technically with the right place. You can see that congestion right there. And just looking at the wide range bar, we want to see it stay in the upper half. There is a price void, and we'll see what happens there. So far, looks okay. So for SPX, Jake got there. I got 4175. Jake's got 4170. He's being a little more cautious. I'm going with a premium. It's like 85 by 90. I think if it comes down there, I mean, none of these are really no brainers. Why these lines here? Is like this line, the middle of it is at the close, and then 4270. You got 75. Yeah, 75, 70, 75 is good. A little further up there, it can do 75. To get up there, I think that's a reasonable level. With the uncertainty of this has to be voted on. How many Republicans are going to agree to it? So it's not a completely done deal. So I think that's a good level. That's a good level for it not to be able to get to. Because the average ranges have been about 46 or so points. And so 46, would have to get beyond the average range, which could be. And if just looking at this bar and just looking at if I doubled the size of that bar, that's a reasonable level to do a call spread. Whereas the lower level, probably one or two Republicans start grumbling about this, it could come down there. So the 42.75 is where I'd be comfortable with. All right, other markets. Where is the gap? About 373, 374. Let me just take a peek at the open interest there. So the big level on the call side is, as you would imagine, is 350 and 340. It's already be above that. There's some at 360, but it's already above that. And 60, okay. So this is where the leaders start to falter. And let's just see if I can put a price on that. Show price. That's a level. Let's call it 370-ish, give or take. So where it's at right now, it's got some room to go before it even reaches the closing prices. So XLK's got room to go. This has got room to go. So it's not terribly extended looking at the Qs. It's not that far from the 20. So this could certainly go higher. Let me read what McGraw's saying. I didn't see that. Good level. So McGraw is 4175. That's pretty close. 80 is a good level per gamma. I still don't follow the terminology. I think if you mean for support, that's what you mean. Yes. And, 21.75. All right. Well, I'll look at the numbers, take eye of that later. We have double call gamma at 42.40 and 42.50, which makes this level up here a reasonable, good, high probability bet for that call spread, not to get through it. Okay. All right. Let me keep going here. You know, YM is weak. Every wide range bar has failed. So some of these stocks that have beaten down the consumer staples, some of them are on some support. We'll see if they begin to stabilize. Maybe it stabilizes the Dow somewhere down here. So, one of the ways of seeing, hey, we look at this breadth internal being so terrible, and looking at different indices that aren't doing anything, whether it's the Dow, the transports, just looks terrible. Retailing looks terrible. I mean, I could just show you tons and tons of stuff that just looks terrible. But yet there's a few sectors, very limited things that are looking pretty good, like they can go higher. All right. Bitcoin looking pretty good, getting out of this range a little bit. That's a positive, pulled back to this minor support. That's moving up nicely. So that's a good sign. Russell's not doing anything. We looked at the Dow, NASDAQ futures, pushing up, and they're not near a whole number. So that's looking to the left, what you need to keep an eye on. Got a little base there at 1440. So that's today's low, where it was consolidating overnight and pushed higher. So you want to be aware of that. Crude oil down a little bit, just flopping around there. And so the dollar came up. I'm looking at gold here, but it's beginning to stabilize as the dollar reached that prior high there. Now, you can see it's down a bit, nothing breaking this short-term trend. So there's positives, there's negatives. We'll go with what is. We don't no other choice to it. But the good part is what Strong has not reached its ultimate, or should be ultimate, destination here in the short term, and maybe these laggards can start to catch up a little bit, and we'll see if they do and what turns up today. Looking at, Dan's going to go over some gappers, but there's, other than the obvious gappers, I saw this one that looked pretty good. It's a new symbol for, always takes some time to fill in here, but look at ABG. It's just gapping above a base here. Anyway, maybe Dan, you can take a look at it because this takes a few seconds to fill in. Oh, here it is. You got a weekly buy set up on here, and just taking out these highs. So maybe it's an automotive, whatever. Maybe it can start moving up. All yours, Dan.
Sure. That's a big old inverse head and shoulder. Yeah, I like it. So Greg, I texted you on our ETF letter. We have a ton of great open positions, and XLK being one of them, and it's the most extended. So my question was, do you want to sell half or all? I told them all because I think it's extended, and
That's fine.
And I think our other opens have more room, like XLC, et cetera, et cetera. So bots, yeah, we got like 7 opens in there. ABG. Daily, yeah, looks great. Members head and shoulders. I don't see any gap in pre-market here, kind of like volume. So that, yeah, we're having another technology AI party. NVIDIA came out with some more news about new computer. It's $1 trillion club. CNBC's has pasted all over their television $1 billion club. And it's just that, to me, is a short-term contrarian. Whenever CNBC comes out and throws a party after something is up so much by hitting some type of milestone, that's a contrarian indicator. There's too much bullishness on something. Remember when Hood came public? Look at this. That tail is real. Hood went up to $80, and also Coin was a similar one, I remember. Look at this, $450. Another identical, too much bullish sentiments. So anyway, so yeah, I was hoping the best. I mean, I still am not interested in this, but spiders, I was hoping for a 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. The market doesn't care what I want, so it's just going to make it more difficult. All right, where do we begin here? Don't have many earnings. Start at the bottom, and I just get into my watch list. I got a couple of alarms going off on things that were in the weekend letter. Beat 286. There's a gap breakout. The problem is you don't have a good void. I posted XMTR pre-market to sell half pre-market at 1950. Nice little gap breakout. We've been in this for a while. So AI, wow. I mean, this would be a fantastic example of some idiot competitor service of ours giving this to subscribers, saying, oh, we got a gap breakout on AI, buy, rallying from the bottom to the top, now gapping up. That to me is a short-term top. This is a call spread candidate, although, you know, you got conflicting time frames. The monthly is a nice bottom, but weekly is a short-term top. CHPT gapping the 915 here. Okay, 30-minute high, potential bottoming pattern. Shoot, thanks, Patrick. Yeah, I would have saw that had I gone through my checklist, but I didn't yet. Sky had earnings 61.50, near the 200, down a lot. We'll see what it does. Ford got an upgrade. No pattern though, gap in the junk. WDC, nice closing breakout with a void. This would have been a fantastic 1, 2, 3. Keep an eye on that. SKT closing breakout. I like that over Friday's high. JCI, little buy setup here, although it's a deep retracement, so it's in a trading range. But you know, I mean, but for the market gap up, I would say sure you can buy Friday's high. But the market gap up is going to make getting on longs harder today because I don't want to buy over Friday's high if the markets are retracing at the market open. BHC, little buy setup after blasting through major support. So now you got a 1, 2, 3 on the weekly, and you got a sloppy retest on the monthly. But that's actually a core candidate. Core is being defined as, I think it can possibly double weeks to month holding period. I'm gonna put this on the core list. You know, every week or so, we update this list. I'll just give it to you from the last time I did it. So I just added BHC there. Notice how FDN is on there. This bar is not right. This last green bar, just ignore it. But it was a closing breakout. Yes, the weekly is at the top of this range. Look at the monthly on FDN. That is a beautiful inverse head and shoulders bottoming pattern. So that's on my core list. I'm gonna pull that. I'm surely not doing it with the cues the way they are, but it's on my watch list. Ideally, it'll take 2 to 3 weeks to set up. Yeah, W, yep. My alarm went off pre-market. Yep, Thomas, that's a put spread idea. Yep, it's over here on my list. I just had BAK alarm go off. This is a bear 1, 2, 3, gapping down, so that's shown relative weakness. As Greg said, the Dow is weak. Apple up the most. Well, Apple and Microsoft up the most, which not surprising. UNH down the most because that's an expensive stock. Oil down. Yeah, oil might break down. STX competitor with WDC. Nice 180 reversal. This would have been a great put spread idea. But there's no juice. NWSA buy setup. T. That's what we call a bullish gap surprise. Wide range ending bar on Thursday. That also is a no-brainer put spread and possible 1 to 3 day bounce in the downtrend. ETN closing breakout daily, weekly, monthly. That's another one. Let's try to get on board on a pullback. Number 1, number 2. Put spread idea. All right, I see Greg's post here. Pack W. Pack W. Yeah, I was looking at these regional banks. If you want to play a small bounce, it's fine. KRE I was looking at, but it's just the target's not great. KBWB, you know, I talk about the AB test. This one's a tad better to me. The regional bank sector just, I think, could go to the top of this range. This one I do not like at all because it was a breakout failure. And you got 5 bars up there. So that one I do not like at all, even though it's stronger than the other because I have a Ryzen 20 above 50. But, you know, as Greg said, if technology stalls, what's going to be the next impetus to bring the market higher, catch up trades, etc.? Oh, there's FDN right there. SE, it's what we call a climactic buy setup. I set an alarm at 6150. XLY, this is an open position in our ETF trader. So this is an example I was saying earlier that this one I think has more upside than our XLK because it's rested. It's a wide range igniting on Friday from a buy setup. It's a bullish weekly, bullish monthly. So let's take the money on XLK, and there's no reason to sell this one. Fizzler alarm just went off. This is a put spread over 204. So you see the print just triggered my alarm. eBay, this would be a no-brainer put spread. Look at all that. I mean, I laugh when people say, "Oh, technical analysis doesn't work." Oh, really? So why did this reverse at this number every time? Because it's demand. It's fundamentals, people, whatever, saying that's a good place to buy. So that's why that's a no-brainer put spread, because that's major support. Actually, a tad bit of relative weakness this morning. Anything NASDAQ related that is not gapping up is relative weakness relative to the Qs. All the things are up. Pre-market, Amazon actually holding the best. A number of them are retracing. That's actually a 30. If the NASDAQ wants to take out a 30-minute high, which I personally doubt, this looks fantastic as a 30-minute long because it's not as extended. You got a bullish daily, you got a bullish 15-minute chart, you got a gap over this end of day base. It's a bullish pre-market consolidation. That looks great. But we got to time it with the broader market. CSGP alarm. That's a buy setup. 180 reversal. So at the market open, particularly Mondays, I'm very busy with alarms going off, with new trades. Shop. We are in a third position already. SKT is good to go. If you're filled, we gave a call option, long calls. CSGP. All right, this one, let's try to do scap it over the entry. Looks great. Hey, Robert. NCLH, I gave us a put spread. So NCLH, that's an inverse head and shoulders. Shoulder head, shoulder, price void. I gave it as a put spread, but 30-minute high could be a directional. I was watching Target from last week. That's still weak, I see. Dash, we have a put spread. Riot doing better. We entered a put spread. All right, so Fizzler on a pullback. BAK, 5-minute low.